We have to think of something smarter than good bad movies. Or something funnier, something more catchy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like on my resume, Isadora Lamego applying to residency, creator of the Good Bad Movies podcast, because that makes me sound like a basic bitch 14-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, how did this get made has already been made as a podcast name. We'll find something. We'll find a name that works. But for the moment, welcome to our pilot episode of Not Good Bad Movies.
Good Bad Movies. You paused. Oh, Irish Wi-Fi. Waiting till Cormac comes around. His face is really cute, but he is paused. Boop, 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 doop, boop, doop, boop.
Hey, sorry, I got cut off there.
Okay.
It says poor connection for some reason. Give me a second.
You can edit it.
So, welcome to the first episode of our yet untitled movie podcast called Not Good Bad Movies.
Good Bad Movies. Do-do-do-do.
Something
It'll be
like
better.
that, but it's going to be a better name than that. So our seminal movie is 1993's loose adaptation of Super Mario
Adaptation. Perfect adaptation.
Okay. We'll get back to that later. So if, like Isadora 6 months ago, you were wondering what? They made a Super Mario Brothers movie? Yes, they did. At the height of Mario's fame in 1993. It was supposed to be the biggest film of the year. It came out the same year as Jurassic Park, and everyone expected it to be a box office smash.
There's nothing incorrect about that statement. It really was the biggest film of the year, in my mind. Of the decade, of the century, you know.
Okay. We'll get back to that later.
Will we though? Because it's perfect.
Yeah. Could you give us a summary of the plot for a blind and deaf person who's never seen Super Mario Brothers and will never have to see it? Never be put through that.
Blade Runner on aesthetic dinosaur crack, in which we have two plumbers with some pretty good New Yorkie, New Jersey, I don't know, man. I don't really know American accents. And the entire plot is that they have to rescue not Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, who is in the incorrect color scheme because her dress is purple, not orange. They have to rescue Daisy from evil dinosaur overlord, an evil dinosaur world where everyone still looks human. But it's okay because it's A, aesthetic, and B, Daisy is a serious bop. Like, she is great, fam. Like, I adore her. All my feminist principles are all about her. Her hair is fabulous. She is principled. She is aggressive. Oh, and there are mushrooms everywhere. There's fungus. And you know that, I mean, my current aesthetic is that I want to fit underneath a mushroom umbrella. So this movie just had vibes. It had vibes. It was a bop. It was 10 out of 10. Everything about it was perfect. They have an animatronic dinosaur Yoshi. Look, there was nothing that I couldn't be given with this movie. And I don't care when people say it was bad. It feels like it would have been the greatest movie ever to work in. There.
Okay.
Put that out there.
Okay. So to summarize in sane people language, Super Mario Brothers is about a pair of plumbers who are not brothers, who get transported from modern day Brooklyn to a alternate reality where dinosaurs didn't die out during the meteor blast 65 million years ago and instead live in a parallel dimension. They go there to save a damsel in distress who is not Peach but Daisy and who falls in love with Luigi.
Also, Mario's girlfriend isn't called Peach, which I think was the biggest writing oversight of the writing team.
That was a big fumble. Mario's a girlfriend who's got like big. She looks like the girl from My Cousin Vinny. Like, she's got that big Italian hair, and
beautiful Italian hair.
Yeah, and she's a bit like your hair if humidity was 100%.
If the Latina hair decided to go full fro,
exactly.
Yes.
Went full like frizz. So they go to Dinotopia, they face off against King Koopa, and there's fungus everywhere who turns out to be the disposed king. And then at the end, they defeat the bad guy and everything goes back to normal. But they have to go back to their own worlds, and Daisy has to stay there for sad reasons. Like at the end of Spider-Man or Catwoman, where it's like, I'm a hero, so we can't be together, to make the ending sort of bittersweet, even though it doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
But then they had a place for the sequel, which was fantastic.
Yeah,
I
so
actually don't know why there isn't a sequel.
they ended with this like Back to the Future moments, like where it's like, Mario, you have to come. There's something going on, and it's the Peach character, the Daisy character, but she's in like full SWAT gear and she's got a gun. You're like, oh my God, what's happening? She's like, there's no time to explain. Get in the car, Mario. And then he's like, well, I guess I better get in the car for the sequel. And then that's the end.
You know what I really appreciate about the whole movie, though, is that Luigi has such a big role. Like, so many people do not seem to really know how great Luigi is. Although apparently he's really popular statistically with women. Like, apparently female
He's
characters love
incredibly
Luigi.
popular with women, yeah.
Yeah,
Why
but
is
then
it? Do women just find him cuter? Do they like his color scheme? Do they like how he's kind of scared and awkward in Luigi's Mansion?
I
Is
mean,
he?
awkward, tall, white guys are like my
Yeah.
so maybe no, like I do actually just think that I think Luigi's like a more adorable character than Mario. I find him more aesthetically appealing.
I feel like he doesn't objectify women as much as Mario and Bowser. Like Mario and Bowser are always fighting over Peach, and like they in the new Mario Odyssey movie or game, spoiler alert, Peach is like, I don't like either of you. I'm gonna do my own thing, and then they're both like, but I thought you liked me, and they like cry into each other's arms. This is deep feels for a game that is aimed at 7+. At 7+ tears going down my cheek.
7 plus 2 is going down your cheek.
Yeah.
But no, I actually think that I just think Luigi's like a more adorable video game character. But the most important thing about the movie is that he gets so much screen time in comparison to Mario. Like I actually feel like he's an equal character or slightly more important than Mario in the movie, which I really appreciated. Also, their color schemes were slightly off. Like Luigi was wearing red and Mario was wearing green for a large portion of the
For no
movie.
reason. It's only at like the very last part of the film that they actually get into their traditional plumber gear. But even before that, there's nothing like hinting towards the color scheme. Like I didn't want it to be like a Power Rangers thing where they're always in their color, but they could have had like subtle wardrobe
I mean,
indications.
I wanted it to be a Power Rangers thing because the original Power
Yeah,
Rangers was my childhood, and
it,
therefore
it
I have a deep aesthetic love of it.
it did feel like it did feel like that Power Rangers vibe. And as the actor and songwriter from Power Rangers the musical, I can relate to it myself. Black Power Ranger. Um, but yeah, so look, I guess for people who don't know how the movie came to fruition, let's go way, way back to the 1980s. So what, Isadora, what is the first game that Mario appeared in?
Donkey Kong! I knew this
Yes,
one. I knew
exactly.
this one.
1981's
Jesus.
Donkey Kong, the arcade sensation. And what was Mario's name in the game?
Plumber Man.
You're quite close. It was Jumpman. Uh, because from the
You
start
think
of
I'd be better at like answering these questions, but no. The ADHD man.
from the start of Nintendo games, it was always about what you do. Mario is about jumping. He's literally a jump man. So, like, while Mario games and Nintendo games in general can have, strong characters and vibrant worlds, it's mainly about what you do. Like, and Mario's platform is about jumping, which makes me think that it's not the best choice for a linear three-act film. And
It was a fantastic choice. They had set designs that were literally Blade Runner, but on video game crack. Like, okay, all things considered, their world building was like chef's kiss. I saw that and I was like, this is exactly what I want. It's like Neo Tokyo, Blade Runner, but dinosaurs and I don't know, it was just fantastic. Every single thing about it was so appealing. Like, I really do think that the art directors, at the very least, should have been awarded heavily for their aesthetic because world building is hard.
yeah, I mean, the art direction was amazing. They got the set designer from or the production designer from Blade Runner to design the sets, but I feel like the film overall was a mess. So to give a
A
bit of
hot
background
mess.
on this, Super Mario Brothers comes out in 1985 with the Nintendo Entertainment System. It takes the world by storm, peaking arguably with Super Mario Brothers 3 in 1989 and Super Mario World on the Super NES in 1990. So at this stage, Mario is more recognizable than Mickey Mouse. He is massive in kids. He's on with kids. He's on lunchboxes. He's on TV shows. Um, but Nintendo had previously had one dalliance with Hollywood to not great success. Isadora, you know the movie that I'm talking about? I'll give you a clue. I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
No, no, this is the thing that makes me stressed when you ask me questions suddenly and I don't know the answer. I
You're
get
like, don't
stressed.
ask me
With that,
questions.
it's like medical school all over
No,
again.
get a question
No,
and
trigger.
answer.
No.
So it was 1989's The Wizard, which climaxes with the reveal of Super Mario Brothers 3. So Nintendo was when they saw this movie, they didn't have much input into it. They gave Universal basically carte blanche to make the movie, but they're kind of underwhelmed by it. And they said, you know, if we're going to give our rights to make our movies to someone, we want it to be good. So all the big studios pitched their ideas of Super Mario Brothers movie to Nintendo. Nintendo said no, like we want someone who's really going to have a vision, invest in it. So they turned down Universal and a lot of other big studios and went with a small, unproven production company, which ended up being an unmitigated disaster. Spoiler.
Amazing. Amazing in every single way, shape, and form. And Cormac is incorrect. History will prove that Mario Brothers was a fantastic movie.
So Mario Brothers is interesting. You talked about the character of Luigi being as big as Mario. The original writer of the film turned in also wrote Rain Man, and he turned in a draft that was quite similar to Rain Man and the Wizard, about a kind of older brother who was wise to the world, helping an autistic younger brother, and they were Mario and Luigi in this case. But Nintendo didn't really like it. They found it was a bit serious and a little bit too much like Rain Man, and also like the Wizard. So it went through dozens of other rewrites, including on set at the time. It was like Casablanca being rewritten every
It
day.
feels like the best movie to work in. It feels like a 10 out of 10 movie to work in.
It was the worst movie to work in.
No. Okay, you know that I'm all about scamming my way through like medical school. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the minimal amount of work that I can do to still at the end of the day be able to get that sweet, sweet medical degree? Okay, if anyone is actually watching this, I tried very hard in medical school and obviously don't scam my way through it in any way, shape, or form. That was a joke. Okay, so my point is, imagine that you're an actor and you're getting paid to like do your job every day. You know what I mean? Like you have a contract, you have a certain amount of hours you have to work, but then also there's going to be all that investment that you have outside of work in the sense that you have to be memorizing lines, you have to know the script, you have to do background research on your character. Imagine a movie where you don't have to do any of that. Like the man who plays President Koopa. President Koopa, is that? I
Dennis
don't
Hopper.
know character names. Yes. He was interviewed and he was saying, "Yeah, I don't even bother to like do background research or memorize my lines anymore. I just do it scene by scene." And I was thinking that would be fantastic. You mean I can sit around sipping margaritas all day and just walk in and people will tell me what to do?
Did you
That
get a,
sounds like the best way to get money.
did you get a Trump vibe from King Koopa? He has like the
Yes.
1980s power suit, the red tie, the blonde hair.
Yes, but also, discussions regarding Trump make me get high blood pressure and slight frustration. So
It
I'm just
reminded me a little
gonna.
bit as well of Back to the Future Part 2, like the alternative 1980s where everything was like terrible and Biff was, I think he was president or mayor or something in it. And
I would love to live in that place.
well,
Everything looked amazing.
we do live in an alternative world where there's a Super Mario Bros. Movie and it was terrible. So at least one part of the world was terrible. Yeah, yeah.
I feel really personally attacked by your statements. I think it was a really good movie.
Okay.
I will fight someone.
So
You.
do you know who their original choice was to play Mario?
Who? Tell me.
Give
I'm
you.
not answering any of your questions and make me nervous.
Yeah, you're like, I'm done
This
answering.
is like Anatomy Lab all over again, where you're like, Isadora, answer the question. I'm like, you're cute like me.
Tom Hanks, which might surprise you, but he was coming off movies like Big, Ash in the 80s, so you could see him playing a kind of a character like this. With but they chose him because, or they turned him down because he's quite expensive, and he'd come off a string of flops such as Bonfire of the Vanities, most famously. And instead, he took on his first Oscar-winning role, which was. You're really not getting the whole answering questions thing.
I'm not. This is okay. We've discussed this. I get stressed.
I'm sorry, I won't keep answering your questions. It was Philadelphia, followed by Forrest Gump. So he was Mario, who, yeah, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was approached to play the role of Bowser, or King Koopa in this case.
Actually, I don't think I would have liked that. I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger wouldn't have given the correct vibe. I appreciate the fact that he's not in it.
I feel like
And
Dennis
I like the
Hopper.
Governator. Like all political leanings aside, I like the Governator.
I feel like Dennis Hopper got the tone better, but this was like Last Action Hero era Arnold Schwarzenegger was beginning to become self-aware. I feel like he could have played the role well.
I don't know. Like I appreciate the fact that Dennis Hopper brought a certain je ne sais pas, like a very I'm drunk and am not enjoying this role, so I'm gonna have a fantastic time doing it. Like there's a certain amount of like alcoholism that I just think that Arnold
I
Schwarzenegger could not have.
tell you what beer was he not drinking on set?
Um Pabst Blue Ribbon, the shitty hipster
Heineken,
beer.
fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Heineken's the worst. I don't know. There are a lot of bad beers, but my point is that Heineken isn't a real beer. What are you doing, sir?
I'm at
You're
my
Irish.
aunt's house and she
You're
only has
better
she
than
only has
this.
Heineken and out of date Budweiser, so I had to choose between the two.
You're better than this. You're Irish.
There's no Pabst Blue Ribbon in the house, and you probably saw me looking around earlier. I was looking for my other beer. I thought I had had some, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Your people are deeply offended right now.
Also, we didn't mention in the plot background, but the character of Toad is a street singer for some reason, and they originally going to cast Tom Waits in the role, which would have just been the most bizarre role ever.
But I like it. It's a gigantic world covered by fungus, which
Yes,
turns out to be an autonomous king.
the fungus is really ugly. It's like Blade Runner if you left the sets for like a couple of years and you came back and it looked like The Last of Us, where it is just covered in this disgusting looking fungus
It
everywhere.
was a vibe. But also, I do agree. I think that the fungus should have been a bit cuter. I wanted more like Animal Crossing island mushroom aesthetic. As an aside, I redesigned my entire Animal Crossing island, and now its entire aesthetic is magical mushroom fairy queen. And I just think it should have been a bit more like that.
Can you fit under the mushroom though? That's the real question.
Yeah, okay. So they do have giant mushrooms that are like bigger than me, but I haven't gotten the recipe yet. I've literally been going through the same 15 days of November in an attempt to get myself like a mushroom umbrella.
You're like, I needs it in my life.
But I did have a mushroom chair and mushroom lamps, and my island is like magical. Point is, the mushroom should have looked like that. They should have been cute. They should have been aesthetic.
One of the problems of this film was that they wanted to do a like Blade Runner vibe, which is fine. And there is one set when they get to like this dino Manhattan for the first time, and it looks cool. But they also were trying to make like a cutesy movie that appealed to kids. So when you see the character of Yoshi, he's supposed to be this like cute animatronic dinosaur. He looks weird.
I
Uh,
love
he
him.
looks he looks
I love
strange and
him.
ugly. The
As
fungus
the
looks ugly.
child in this podcast said.
And then the Goombas, instead of like having like small bodies and gigantic heads, they have gigantic bodies, like they're like 9 feet tall with these tiny lizard heads, and it's really
I
off-putting
like them.
and really unintentionally scary. And then Toad, our country music singer, gets turned into a Goomba, except
But a
he
nice Goomba, and he has a little like harmonica
has like a
thing.
little harmonica in front of him. I don't think he ever plays it though, and it's so off-putting. It's the stuff of nightmare fuel. It's presumably where they got the inspiration for Cats 2019. Like just that.
Remember when we were I think it was we were out in Malaga, or was it where the Guggenheim was? And we got a harmonica, and it just became the two of us stealing the harmonica, trolling each other by blowing at the harmonica.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't tried harmonica before, get one and then just like blow it into someone's ear when they don't expect it. It is the most annoying thing in the world.
It was
Where's
very
it now?
romantic,
Is it still in your
made the
room?
mood great.
Yeah.
I think it was where the Guggenheim was.
No, but well, we need to get the harmonica again and just play it at
You
each
have
other.
the harmonica. You
Yeah.
have the
Where's
harmonica.
the
See?
harmonica? I don't think so. I think I would have just brought it into work and started like playing it to piss off people. It's an ultimate troll move.
No, I think that your children. I mean, I think that like the pediatric patients would have actually really liked it.
They might have. But I'm also working in like a neonatal ward now, so I think all the midwives and babies would just hate me.
Oh yeah, no, the midwives would hate you. The midwives would kill you.
Think
But it
the
probably they would injure you so much that you would actually get time off. So it sounds like a really good way to scam yourself into some time off.
It's a good chat. Very good chat. So I, why do you think this movie? So this movie, you said it was a fun movie to get to be drunk during. Um, Evidently it was because the only way the main actors could get through this movie was by drinking the entire time, including the main actor who played Mario, who was also in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I'm trying to remember his name. It is Bob Hoskins, which I totally didn't look up on Wikipedia there. Um, um, so he used to get shit faced with Dennis Hopper all the time, so much so that he once drove home drunk and broke his arm, and they had to close down shooting for a couple of weeks while his arm
Yeah.
heals.
So
So kids, don't
DUIs,
drive,
not
even if you're
sexy,
in a terrible movie.
very bad, but also getting trashed during movie, possibly okay. Like, but also if you're an actor, you probably
I
have
feel
enough
like,
money to pay someone to drive you home. So
yeah,
poor life choices.
I feel like it's the only way to get through a film like that, where people are just constantly throwing new pages at you, and the script is getting worse and worse. Like I've worked as a
Fantastic.
screenwriter where people have like thrown redrafts at you, where it's like, I took out all the good witty lines you had and like shoehorned in all this other crap, and you're like, oh God, this movie is going to be terrible. At least with stuff when I was writing, I could just walk away from it. But if you're contractually obliged to act in a film, no matter what turns up, you have to act it. So you're just
If
stuck
you're
with this
contractually obliged to act in the film, it's welcome to the easiest paycheck you will ever earn as a
But I
committed
feel like it
actor.
wasn't easy. I feel like these people were miserable because it went like over budget. It went over time. The direction wasn't clear. Shots took forever to get right. Like people were on fire during different parts of the set, and everyone's just like, "Oh, I guess we've got to go on with it."
Yeah, but okay, here's the thing. Let's say like I'm like a serious actor, TM. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And I need to put in all this investment and all this time into being the correct character for the movie. I feel like there is a certain appeal to not having to really commit to anything. Like I was saying, they got to walk in and just read their lines.
So as I mentioned, to get through this day-to-day shoot, both Bob Hoskins, who played Mario, and Dennis Hopper, who played our villain King Koopa, were drinking day in, day out to get through the shoot. And Bob Hoskins got so drunk that he drove home drunk and broke his arm, which caused a week delay of
Mm,
several weeks in the shooting.
mm. So I'm gonna say like DUIs are not okay, not sexy, not about that life. Should have made better life choices. But if you're a Hollywood star and you actually have so much money, like I see zero issue in a problematic shoot for you to spend all day drinking. He just should have hired someone to drive him back home.
Yeah, I feel like if you're like a Hollywood actor and you're getting paid hundreds of thousands, not millions for a shoot, you could probably afford to have a driver. Um, I do
Old
not blame
school
you for
Uber,
drinking on
a
set though.
taxi.
Like this film seems absolutely awful from reading it, and I can imagine just being completely demoralized because I've been a writer and I've like rewritten drafts and got them back where it's like, hey, I took out all the funny one-liners and zingers that you put in and all the character development and replaced it with like shoehorn crap. I can totally imagine like the writers being like, why is all this fungus here? And
Here's the
what
problem,
happened
Cormac.
to the film
Now
I signed on for?
Here's the problem, Cormac. Now you're just reliving all the trauma you've had as a writer, where you've tried to help your friends by editing their scripts, and then they just go back and they're like, "Oh yes, all your carefully, well thought out, witty edits." No,
But
no.
but literally they don't like when you rewrite someone's script, especially if they're like, the visionary, they basically just read your draft and it's like, I'm going to take 3 lines out of it and use their first draft. Like,
And it's like, okay, sir, why did you let me spend hours helping you?
people are too precious. It's like when Joss Whedon wrote a draft of X-Men and they kept exactly 2 lines that they wrote. And I was like, why bother getting Joss Whedon, who at this stage had already made Buffy and had been a co-writer on Toy Story, which got an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay, with one of the Coen brothers, nonetheless. That must have been an interesting writing team.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Joss Whedon, I'd like some opinions on Joss Whedon. However, Buffy is my childhood.
But why did Toy Story not show Bo Peep's feet? If it was written by Joss Whedon. In
Is
fairness,
Joss
it showed the mom's feet like stepping on one of the soldier men and crushing him. Like maybe that's some sort of a fetish of Joss Whedon.
perhaps? But yeah, my point is like, okay, I understand being like a hashtag serious actor and really valuing your craft and everything. But once you realize that you're in a bad situation, I do just think that there's a certain aspect of like rolling with the punches. Like you've signed the contract, you have to do the movie. Like why not just enjoy the chaos, embrace the chaos? But maybe I've just been in like medicine for too long at this point, and I'm just like the chaos, the disorganization. Let's go forward. See, you get it. You get
Yeah, you're like that French philosopher. It's like you have to become Sisyphus, rolling the rock up the hill, and this is life, but you have to embrace the rolling.
Or it's like my parents, because I'm always like, Mom, Dad, like I have all these plans, but now coronavirus happened and everything's getting destroyed. And my parents are just like, Ha, Isadora, welcome to life. You're gonna make all these plans, they're never going to happen. You just have to learn how to be happy anyway. And I'm like, yes. I was not raised under a military dictatorship. I got raised in like nice 90s America, so I probably
Yeah.
have a completely different perspective.
Nice 90s America, the worst thing that could happen is a film like this. And Albert Camus, that is the philosopher I was thinking of, and writer.
Also, wait, so this movie, the original New York Times article that I read about this movie, it came out in 1992, the time I was born. So this movie was made for me.
Exactly, it was made when you're born. I feel like what's dated this movie the most is that it's a live action movie aimed primarily at children. I feel that doesn't happen anymore. Like now everything is animated. And there is something like kind of vaguely nostalgic and whimsical looking at a film like this. Like it reminds me a little bit of Jumanji and films of that era that had like over the top cartoonish elements but with actual actors.
I mean, I'm actually pretty
I
pro the
feel like
live action thing.
I feel like if they'd embraced the camp tone a little bit more, it would have been a hit. And if they'd lightened it a bit and got rid of the fungus.
I like everything in the movie. My only issues are actually no, my only issue really actually no, two issues. Two issues. Where is Peach? And two, Daisy's dress. Those are the issues. It would have been a perfect movie otherwise. It's currently like a 9.5, but I really think that would have like bumped it up to a 10.
I thought the Daisy actress was really cute. I was like, how did she not get any more roles after this? Like, her biggest role afterwards was the secretary who almost gets killed in American Psycho.
Yeah, no, I liked her. Like I actually genuinely enjoyed her as an actress, and she had that very like 90s female heroine look. You know what I mean? Like there's a specific way that women in that time period, if they were like the main like female protag looked. And she has that. She has that kind of like spunk. I'm
exactly.
a big independent girl.
It's this kind of girl power look. And ironically, she is now like the vice president of the Screen Actors Guild in America. And her role in this movie is like standing up to some like corrupt developer who wants to destroy this dinosaur skeleton site. So it's kind of like life imitating art. Like I see how a producer would look at her and it's like, yeah, this girl's kind of spunky and fun. Like, totally imagine her in the movie. Like, I just wish she had had a better breakout role movie so that she might have had more of a career.
I will say that overall, really did enjoy her. Like everything about her had like serious like girl crush vibes, you know?
Did any did anyone come out of this movie well? Did anyone come out thinking like, ah, they did a pretty good job with the material they were given?
I don't know.
Like,
Well, I mean, I think everyone did a great job with the material
yeah,
they were given when you consider the material they were given,
the
honey.
material is terrible. But did anyone turn in a good performance? Like, I don't think so.
Everyone turned in.
I,
Why do you
I,
not see that
I
everyone turned in
think
an amazing performance?
I think Dennis Hopper, like when he's having more fun in a role, like in Blue Velvet or in Waterworld, he's very entertaining. But I feel like this role, he was just like,
I
oh God, this is terrible.
love
Make
him
it
as
stop.
Mr. Evil Man guy who's a dinosaur. I don't know character names. I literally just know like Daisy because I'm like I have a crush on Daisy. Like we'll just keep up that one. All everyone else I'm just like, what is your name? Like I don't care. There's like singing mushroom man. Like who knows? My
Uh,
point is, um,
and how can you not remember Mario's name or Luigi's name? The movie's literally Super Mario Brothers.
yeah, but they're like not as important. I'm just like it's actually just a movie about Daisy. It's actually just a movie about my girl crush, Daisy, a
But
girl.
you say it's a movie about Daisy. There's not a lot of female agency in this movie. Like it's this girl gets kidnapped and she's kidnapped for like most of the movie. And I don't think she does anything exciting to free herself. Like even compared to Holly Gennaro, John McClane's wife in Die Hard, like she tries to save people and she has some degree of agency. I feel like Daisy just gets kidnapped and then from there doesn't do a lot. Like I don't even think she frees
Yeah,
herself. I think she's freed by Mario.
I mean, well, no, she frees. If I remember correctly, she frees herself somewhat through the power of friendship because she befriended the one
Yoshi?
that not
To-
Yoshi. Okay, Toad gets converted
oh,
into
Toad into a Goomba.
yeah, and then Toad was like helping rescue her. So
That
sure,
seems
it
so
very
dumb.
very
Like she
Yu-Gi-Oh,
leaves,
like the
she
power of
escapes,
friendship
but she
rescued
leaves
her.
her like hotel room that wasn't even locked. And I was like, what is the point of this? Like, were you even being imprisoned?
I mean, I know, but also like okay, as a woman, I do find that occasionally it's quite hard to find movies in the 90s and before that in which there was like a large amount of female agency. I mean, there definitely are movies that did. But if I'm going to look at like a multitude of mainstream movies and try to find the character that I find relatable, like that character is going to statistically most likely be a woman who doesn't necessarily have the most amount of agency. I really appreciate that in movies nowadays, women have more agency and we're trying to be more equal, although there's a multitude of problems in the current movie industry. But
Yeah.
I liked her. She was nice. She was relatable. And she was really cool and spunky and assertive. And she had an almost like Buffy-esque, like, I've come to kick a bitch kind of attitude.
Yeah, and I feel like when Joss Whedon wrote the script for Buffy and for the Buffy film, he was sick of seeing these slasher movies where like the hot blondes get killed off, immediately and don't have any sort of character development or, role in the resolution of the film. Um, I feel if it was made maybe 10 years later, she might have done more. But that said, in Daredevil, our Electra character, Jennifer Garner, gets killed 2/3 of the way through the movie. Spoiler alert. Just to give Ben Affleck more reason to be angry and tap into his pain before the final boss fight. So maybe if it came out 20 years later, like if it came out today, she would have more agency.
I mean, maybe, but also, like, would we have had a Mario movie today? Who knows? However, we
They
did have Detective
they are
Pikachu, and Detective Pikachu was like,
they're making a Mario movie at the moment. Illumination Films. It was released in a Sony leak in 2012. The Illumination Films were working on like a fully CGI kids movie. So kind of like a Despicable Me style movie with Mario. But I hate Despicable Me, so I think it's going to be terrible.
I mean, I don't like Despicable Me very much. I like the girl's haircut in Despicable Me where she has like a little bun on top of her head because I'm like, that's me every night when I put my hair in a bun.
It's true. I think you look like the little Oompa Loompas from the remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the Tim Burton.
Yeah, that obviously speaks volumes about why you adore me. Oh yes, this is my girlfriend. She looks like an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool, cool, cool,
That's
cool,
just how
cool.
it is. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
I, I feel like we've talked about this film a lot. Could you give it a star rating and a brief reason why you think someone should watch the film?
9.5. I'm actually not joking about that in even like a vaguely ironic way. And I'm not even enjoying this in a genuine ironic way. Like I actually like this movie. Like there are movies that I like for hashtag ironic reasons, but this is actually like a movie that I properly enjoy. You don't even need to be drunk to like it. It's fun. It's good. The aesthetic is wonderful. You can tell how much effort was put into the set design. And world building is hard, dude. World building is super difficult to do. And they actually created like this really unique perspective on like world building that I thought was awesome. And overall, like I've watched worse 90s movies. I've watched a multitude of worse 90s movies. And I really enjoyed it. Like, sure, maybe talking to you about it right now, I can't tap into the like exact aesthetically ecstatic reason that I loved it. But I watched it, and the genuine enjoyment that I felt was so real and so honest and so earnest, and it just tapped into like so many aspects of my childhood that I loved. I thought it was a really good movie. And maybe that's because everyone was drunk the whole time. Maybe I just enjoy like watching drunk actors. Who knows? I don't. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. My issues and the reason that it receives a zero point 0.5 deduction is because throughout a large portion of the movie, Daisy is wearing a purple dress, and for those of us who've seen the character of Daisy, her aesthetic is orange. And so I really do
Lots
think,
of red, I think, instead of a blonde.
yes, I mean, that's just already asking for too much, obviously. Like, I just needed her to wear an orange dress. I think they made a really beautiful purple dress. Also, the costume design was amazing. But they made her a really beautiful purple dress, and I just think that it could have been better in orange. I think it would have been more in character. And then Mario's girlfriend was not named Peach. That just seemed like a
Okay,
really easy one.
okay. So I'm gonna give this movie 2 stars. I feel the only thing that makes it
Why is
not
this not
terrible
beer? I need
is
this
the
to be beer now.
set design looks cool. Like when you see the Dinosaur World for the first time and in the climax, it was filmed in this big cement factory. Like it's a gigantic set. Looks really cool. Like it rivals anything from the era. Um, and I liked kind of the romantic subplot between Luigi and Daisy. Like I thought they were both fairly
Really?
endearing. Apart from that, I thought the movie was a mess. I think this is the movie that people point to when they say video game movies are terrible. Like I think even kids who were like 10 years old at the time going to this movie with their parents were like, "What the hell am I watching?"
10-year-old me would have loved this.
I feel if I watched it as a 10-year-old, I'd just be like, "This is not the Mario I know and love." And what strange diet Blade Runner have you tricked me into watching? I feel
I
people
mean,
definitely didn't get the film that they were expecting when they got this. Um, And while it has kind of a Blade Runner Total Recall vibe where we don't make those sort of movies anymore with big practical sets and, larger than life extras and, worlds that feel kind of lived in. Um, I feel like the narrative in this movie is just so muddled and it feels like a movie that's gone through 9 drafts and the actors have just stopped trying that I can't really recommend it for anyone other than
stop.
to see.
Bad Cormac, stop. Everyone needs to watch this movie. Why are
No.
you doing this?
Okay.
Bad.
Okay.
Bad.
Also, the movie is boring in large parts. The same problem I had with Cats. Um, like the entire second act of the movie, I was like watching my.
Um,
Like, Roger Ebert said that
excuse you.
no bad movie is too short, and no good movie is too long. And I feel like it was like that with this. Like I was like, could this movie be 40 minutes long?
No, because I needed
Also,
whatever 2 hours of world
the
building.
special effects were terrible. They spent $40 million this movie in 1993 money, and like when they're going between worlds, the effects look awful.
I thought it looked cool. Like it was trying for an image, and it succeeded kind of. I like it, and I will fight someone for this movie. I'm like, bring it, bring
Okay.
it.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments what you think. Have you seen this movie? Do you like it? Which one of
Yes,
us is right? Is there an objective
me.
truth? Is there a right?
There is an objective truth.
And we'll be back to you next week with our next film watch. Isadora, any ideas for our next film?
Why? I can never answer anything that you ask. I want to do Frozen or Frozen 2. You didn't want to watch Frozen 2.
I hated Frozen too.
Or But Into the Unknown is such a bop.
We could do Frozen 2 or we could do Cats 2019. They're both equally terrible movies.
We'll choose something. I feel like we have a list. We have a list somewhere.
We have a list of good bad movies that include Showgirls as well.
Hmm.
Let's look through that and get back to our viewers next week. I'm Cormac Duff. This
And
is.
Isadora.
Thanks for listening and see you next time.
Bye.